The Baron is the Glukkon that appeared in the Oddworld Soulstorm PS5 Reveal trailer, and I found it rather odd that they showed him at that moment as the shaman tells Abe, "You may have escaped the murderous blades," clearly referring to Rupture Farms when they could have shown a picture of Molluck. As a result, I wanted to look more into this particular Glukkon and try to piece together and maybe theorise about his role in Soulstorm and why Oddworld inhabitants chose him in particular to put in the trailer. I call this Glukkon the Baron, but actually Oddworld Abe's origins refers to him as just Baron. Personally, I think just saying Baron sounds odd, so that's why I add the. However, although it sounds like a title, it could technically be his name maybe. Abe's origins refers to the Brewmaster as the Brewmaster, which is what I call him, although the Oddworld Wiki has titled the page about him as just Brewmaster, despite the first line in that page literally saying the Brewmaster. So it goes to reason to me that if Baron was a title, as in he is the Baron, they would have put the Baron, so maybe it's his name? Either way, Baron of course is a royal title, the definition of Google proclaiming a member of the lowest order of the British nobility. Baron is not used as a form of address, Barons usually being referred to as Lord, which again brings up the name thing. Baron isn't used as a form of address, so is it more likely to be his name? Baron is a name, by the way, in real life. Generally it's spelled with 2 R's, but some people are called Baron just spelled with 1 R. However, I think the Glukkon Baron is likely referring to the second definition that shows up, an important or powerful person in a specified business or industry. That certainly sounds more like a Glukkon, and plus while they do have queens, it's in more of a natural, animalistic or whatever word is manner, as opposed to a royal structure, although I might be mistaken in that. Or perhaps it's been retconned, as in Oddworld Soulstorm there are many secret societies and guilds of the Magog Cartel, like the real-world Templars, including one called the Royal Society of Alchemic Science. So that suggests to me that the Glukkons do in some way have a monarchistic society, presumably with their queen Lady Margaret at the top, as opposed to simply the queen being purely the term for the Glukkon females. It's more than just a bee-like system, it seems like. So maybe the Baron is a royal term and he is a part of the royal society in some manner. The Baron is known to be the head of Necrum Mines in Oddworld Soulstorm, potentially also being the head of Bonewerkz considering how linked the two are. As a result, I think it's highly likely that the Baron is essentially Oddworld Soulstorm's version of Director Flegg, the head of Bonewerkz in Oddworld Abe's Exodus. The Baron is a bonesman of the Grand Lodge Diggers Guild, one of the previously mentioned secret societies of the Magog Cartel, who are in charge of digging the bones of the dead for profit. Probably one of the most evil professions taken up by the Glukkons, which probably explains why the thing that's striking about the Baron is how evil he looks. Probably no other Glukkon has looked as evil as this one. Look at that cold, ruthless stare. That could be why he was used in the trailer. However, I do wonder if there's a specific reason as to why this Glukkon in particular has been made to look so evil. While I was colorizing the original Oddworld Soulstorm trailer, I started thinking about the Glukkon that appears in it, which of course at the time was just an old asset reused by Oddworld inhabitants. But it got me thinking, what if there is a Glukkon that's like in charge and overseeing the experimentation of Mudokons? Like a head of these sort of camps that the Vikers commit these atrocities in. If there was, the Baron certainly strikes me as being that type of Glukkon. Even the way he dresses reminds me of a certain organisation that may have inspired the original Soulstorm trailer. What's perfect about his design is that considering the Baron works on a gravesite, the Necrum burial grounds, I think the first thing I thought when I saw him was that he suits the area perfectly, because he looks kind of like a gravestone to me. Does that make sense? His head sort of looks like, a gravestone. He looks like he blends in with the surroundings quite well. Obviously in Abe's Exodus the Glukkons work the slaves to death digging up the bones of their ancestors. That's all rather gruesome, and I think the idea of this particular Glukkon being one with a lot of blood on his... Glukkons have hands, so blood on his hands seems to suit him well. he just looks really cold and heartless. One thing that also strikes me about him is that he's probably the only Glukkon that's been seen that actually resembles the Magog Cartel logo. He has that very oddly shaped head that most Glukkons don't have. Well, I guess most Glukkons have oddly shaped heads, but I mean, his head is oddly shaped even for a Glukkon. But it's also very specifically shaped, and I wonder if there's more significance behind him resembling the logo. Like maybe he's actually more important than it would initially seem. Or maybe it's just a coincidence. Still interesting to note though. Also, while editing this, I just noticed up close his face kind of has the same shape as a Viker. Personally, I think there's a good chance the Brewmaster might actually take some of the roles that I've mentioned in this video, but I wanted to put across the argument that the Baron might have a more important role than perhaps previously thought in Oddworld Soulstorm.
Hello, follow me.